بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. We continue tonight inshallah with the story of the killing of Umar رضي الله عنه وأرضاه. قال كما يروي عمرو بن ميمون عند البخاري قال and this is now the talk for Ibn Umar bin Abbas. When they asked him to put someone in his place as Umar the Khalifa, and now he's dying, and they asked him, those who are around him, to choose someone to take over after him. فقال ما أجد أحدا أحق بهذا الأمر من هؤلاء النفر أو الرهط الذين توفي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو عنهم راض. فسمى عليا وعثمان والزبير وطلحة وسعدا وعبد الرحمن وقال يشهدكم عبد الله بن عمر وليس له من الأمر شيء كهيئة التعزية له. He said رضي الله عنه that there is no one specific person that I will choose, but I will choose a group of people whom when the Prophet ﷺ died was pleased with. Individuals that the Messenger of Allah was happy with when he left this world. Those are the best people. You want to know the best people, you look at those whom Allah Azza wa Jal is pleased with, and you look at those whom the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam was pleased with. Then you ask the question, like those are dead, the ones that we really, the specific individuals we really know that Allah is pleased with and the Messenger was pleased with, they're dead. And the people today, we don't have a revelation that comes to tell us Allah is pleased with this person and Allah is pleased with that and He's not with this. So how are we going to do? It's easy and simple. You look at those, or you look at people and you evaluate them based on what? Based on the characters that Allah Azza wa Jal would be pleased with. You look at them and evaluate them based on the characters and conditions the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam put forth. And that's how you judge. Now someone might ask, why should I judge? As it's very common amongst people, don't be judgmental. I have to judge. To be able to choose the right people I need to hang out with. I have to judge to choose the right individual that I'm going to take my knowledge from. I have to be able to judge the characters of people so I know whom I'm dealing with. This, don't be judgmental, is nonsense. It's nonsense. You have to evaluate the individuals. Now when we take judgment or when we say judge people, that doesn't mean go on the street and say, oh, this guy going to hellfire and this guy, that will not, you have no right to do that because you don't know. But when we say be judgmental, in other words, evaluate people. This is something that everyone should do. You have to evaluate your children, friends. You have to evaluate your children. You have to evaluate the woman you might marry, and you have to evaluate the guy that she will marry, she has to evaluate. You have to evaluate the people who are proposing for your children. You have to evaluate these things and you have to make judgment. That's how you make decisions. When I say don't be judgmental and just go blindly, in fact. So Allah Azza wa Jal set rules and orders and gave commands. And the Messenger ﷺ did the same by the order of Allah. So when we want to evaluate an individual, we see how close they are to these rules. The closer they are, the more trustworthy they will be. Now, I cannot judge their hearts. They could be practicing the orders of Allah as a show-off, as a face, as a cover. And inside of them, they're demons. The hearts I'm not responsible to judge, because I have no access to it anyway. And the hearts are the rights of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's why they said, إِذَا رَأَيْتَ الرَّجُلُ يَمْشِي عَلَى الْمَاءِ وَيَطِيرُ فِي الْهَوَاءِ فَلَا تُصَدِّقْهُ حَتَّى تَعْرِضَ عَمَلَهُ عَلَى الْقُرْآنِ وَالسُّنَّةِ. That is what we need to appreciate as an ummah today. They said if you see the person walking on water and flying in the air, don't trust him until you compare his actions to the Quran and the Sunnah. How he's living. A magician can do that. A kafir, a disbeliever, does that. So because someone walks on water, you're going to just take it for granted he's a righteous man and he's doing this because Allah is blessing him and it's a miracle from Allah. You find magicians who can do that. Whether it's visual effect or whether they're dealing with the jinn and doing with the magic and all that, and they can do that. So what is the criteria? The criteria is you compare how close this person to Allah Azza wa Jal. There are people who do that, they don't even pray amongst the Muslims. They don't even make tahar. This is not wali. This is not someone trustworthy who doesn't pray. Even if he walks in the air or flies in the air, as they say. So very important. So once you evaluate the person based on that, and then you go with him, then you make the decision in accordance. Someone proposes to your daughter, or someone proposes to a woman, she evaluates his characters. How much is he close to the Sunnah of the Prophet? How much is the deen important in his life? How much is he practicing? Is he just saying he's a good Muslim and he's not practicing? How much am I gonna monitor him and see, is he taking care of his prayers? Is he praying 5 times a day? Is he this? Is he that? Is he close to the Sunnah? Is he following the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ? How is his aqidah? Is he believing in Allah the way he's supposed to? Does he believe about the prophets and the angels the way he's supposed to be? And once I collect all this data, then I formulate a decision. I just don't shut someone away and chase them or drive them away just because how much money you got, or what's your profession. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ says, إِذَا جَاءَكُم مَّن تَرْضُونَ دِينَهُ وَخُلُقَهُ فَزَوِّجُوهُ إِلَّا تَفْعَلُوا تَكُنْ فِتْنَةٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَفَسَادٌ كَبِيرٌ. He ﷺ says, when he talks about marriage, he said if someone comes asking for your daughter's hand or for a woman's hand in marriage, someone that you would approve his manners and his deen, then you should accept him. You don't do that, then expect the big corruption in earth. That's what's the reality. If you're going to accept the husband of your daughter, or you're going to accept your own husband because of what money they're making, the position they're holding, that means you're corrupt. And then you're going to get married to someone corrupt because you regard deen of no importance. What you expect the children going to be angels? As they say, the apple doesn't too far from the tree. Right? That's what you're going to be. Corrupt father, corrupt mother. What you're going to give children? Prophets. The children will not know any better. Very important. So Umar radiallahu anhu, his criteria of choosing people, he said, who did the Prophet ﷺ die and was pleased with? And he chose those 6 people. And those 6, المبشرين بالجنة. Those 6 are 6 of the 10 in the famous hadith that were given the news in advance that they are from the people of paradise. But better than that, you need to choose. No better. There's a man, Al-Ihsaan, who married 2 of the daughters of the Prophet ﷺ. One died and then he married the other. Ali bin Abi Talib married the other daughter, Fatima radiallahu anha, the father of Al-Hasan and Hussein. Sa'id ibn Abi Waqqas, Khalid Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and his uncle from Bani Najjar. Talha ibn Ubaydillah, that the Prophet ﷺ climbed over his back on the day of Uhud. Abu Bakr, when he would remember Talha, he would cry. And he would say, Uhud, all of it was for Talha. The day of Uhud, all of it for Talha. Abdul Rahman bin Auf. Those are the people that Umar radiallahu anhu chose before he died. Zubayr Hawari Nabi sallallahu alayhi and his cousin. وقال يشهدكم عبد الله بن عمر. So he chose those 6, Ali, Uthman, Zubayr, Sa'd, Abdul Rahman, and Talha. And he said, one of you becomes the Khalifa after me. And Abdullah bin Umar, my son, will supervise. And he did that because usually they expected that it's going to be to his son. And Abdullah bin Umar didn't care about that. So out of softening his heart, he said Abdullah bin Umar will supervise the whole process. كهيئة التعزية. هذه كهيئة التعزية. And that he put his son Abdullah bin Umar as the supervisor of the whole process. كهيئة التعزية, in a way of giving him good feelings. So he won't be angry or any of that. This is from Iran, the narrator of the hadith. Umar didn't say that. Umar didn't say that. The one who narrates the hadith said, added that. فإن أصابت الإمرة سعد فهو لك. If Sa'd is the one who's chosen, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, then let it be. No, Sa'd, one of the 6. وإلا فليستعن به أيكم ما أمر. And if it's not Sa'd, then whoever becomes should use Sa'd to assist him in his job. فإني لم أعزله عن عجز ولا عن خيانة. Umar, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu, in the time of Umar, was the governor over Kufa. We mentioned this story before. And then the people of Kufa complained about Sa'd. لا يحسن يصلي. He doesn't know how to pray. And Umar went his ears and he went his men to investigate. And out of the whole Kufa and out of all the masajid, one person stood up and he said, yeah, he doesn't know how to pray. Or he doesn't do this. لا يسير في السرية ولا يقسم بالسوية. And he accused him of all these nonsense. So even though the innocence of Umar was, of Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas was accomplished, Umar still got him to resign. Got him, excused Sa'd from his position. And the reason he did that is not because Sa'd failed. The investigation showed Sa'd was innocent. He was a Sahabi and doesn't know how to pray. يعقل هذا يعني. But Umar excused Sa'd from his responsibilities because of the reputation of Sa'd alayhi salam. Because خلاص, people talked. Now people, the news, oh Sa'd and this and that. So they might not take him seriously after today. So he got him out of the position. So he's mentioning him here to make sure that everyone understands that when he excused Sa'd from his responsibility, not because Sa'd was a bad guy, just he did that out of closing down and killing down the fitna. When the reputation comes out, whether it's true or false, you will always have sick people with sick minds and hearts who are going to spread it out. Even though they know deep in their hearts that it's a lie. So Umar bin Khattab, out of his political intelligence, he said, we got other people who can do the job of Sa'd, trustworthy people. So we're going to take, now the people in Kufa already started talking about this, so let's take Sa'd out of this position and put someone else so they do not continue with their propaganda and their rumors. So he wanted to emphasize at that point that Sa'd is a trustworthy individual and he was not excused because he was bad or he betrayed his position or he took advantage or he abused his position. So he said, if you choose Sa'd, then let it be. Don't say, oh Umar. Now look at Umar radiallahu anhu. He doesn't even want the fitna while they're choosing someone. So he said, if Sa'd wins, if you guys choose Sa'd, then he's going to be the Khalif. And don't start using excuses, oh, but Umar did not excuse him and Umar dropped him and Umar fired him. Don't. I didn't do that because of him. I did it because of them. And whoever wins, if it's not Sa'd, then he should use Sa'd. So this way, he gave back the honor to Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu in case Sa'd had anything in his heart. This is a man who dies making sure that he doesn't know anyone anything. يعني كما ترى. طيب, we talk about this point in a little bit. وقال أوصي الخليفة من بعدي بالمهاجرين الأولين. Now this is the وصية of Umar bin Khattab رضي الله عنه. What he advised. وأوصي الخليفة من بعدي بالمهاجرين الأولين أن يعرف لهم حقهم ويحفظ لهم حرمتهم. So first he said, and I request the Khalifa after me, the person who's going to take after me, to take care of the following. First, al-Muhajirin. Those al-Muhajirin are the best group of people amongst the Sahaba. Those who made hijrah. أن يعرف لهم حقا. I want him to know, the next guy, the next Khalifa or Amir al-Mu'minin, I want him to know what they're entitled for. I want him to know their rights. ويحفظ لهم حرمتهم. Respect them. وأوصيه بالأنصار خيرا. Then second, he goes to the next group, the Ansar, those, the supporters, the helpers who gave support to the Prophet when he migrated to them.
السلام عليكم.
وأوصيه بالأنصار خيرا الذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبله. Those who used to sell in Medina before the Muhajirin. أن يقبل من محسنهم وأن يعفى عن مسيئهم. That whoever does good, the next Khalifa should accept from him, and whoever does bad, he should overlook and forgive him. وأوصيه بأهل الأنصار خيرا فإنهم ردء الإسلام وجباة المال وغيظ العدو وألا يؤخذ منهم إلا فضلهم عن رضاهم. And I remind him to take care of أهل الأنصار. Now he talked about Muhajirin, he talked about Ansar. Now the lands that Islam spread to, outside Medina, those Ahl al-Ansar. So I remind him to take care of those people because those are Rid'ul Islam. Those are the people those are the people who help us to protect Islam. يعني رد يعني عون, the help for Islam. وَجُبَاتُ الْمَالِ, they are the ones that contribute the mal and the wealth to the ummah. وَغَيْرُ الْعَدُوِ, and they are source of anger to the enemies of Islam. When they see Muslims all over, get scared. وَأَنْ لَا يُؤْخَذَ مِنْهُمْ إِلَّا فَضْلُهُمْ عَنْ رِضَاهُمْ, and he should only collect from them, يعني الزكاة, take from them what they are pleased to give. And that is the advice when they would tell the people who go from the Muslim government to collect the zakat. They will be told, as the Prophet ﷺ told them and told Mu'adh, you do not choose the best of their money. You come to someone who has sheep, sheep and goats and all that, and you collect the zakat, whatever number of sheep you have to take zakat. Do not go to the healthiest one and pick it up. Because these healthiest ones are the most beloved to him from his wealth. So you just choose an average. So he's telling him, Umar radiallahu anhu, telling the Khalifa after him to do that. Stay away from their most beloved wealth to them. وَأُوصِيهِ بِالْأَعْرَابِ خَيْرًا فَإِنَّهُمْ أَصْلُ الْعَرَبِ وَمَادَّةُ الْإِسْلَامِ. And I remind the next Khalifa after me to take care of the Bedouins. This is where the Arabs come from. أصل العرب ومادة الإسلام. And they really contribute a lot with their numbers to the Muslims. أن يؤخذ من حواشي أموالهم ويرد على فقرائهم. I remind you to take from the money of the rich ones and give it back to the poor ones from amongst them. وأوصيه بذمة الله وذمة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يوفى لهم بعهدهم وأن يقاتل من ورائهم ولا يكلف إلا طاقتهم. They talk about Islam. They talk about Islam that they don't care, or they love to kill people, and they hate Christians and Jews and all that. So he reminds the Khalifa after him of al-Muhajirin, Muslims, of al-Ansar, Muslims, of Ahl al-Ansar, Muslims, the Muslims in different lands, of al-Bidu, al-A'rab, the Bedouins, Muslims, and then of Ahl al-Dhimma, the non-Muslims who are living under the government of Islam. He did not forget them. He did not forget. The man is bleeding to death, and he did not forget the non-Muslims who live in the Muslim land. That's our deen. That's what the Prophet ﷺ taught him. So what the next Khalifa should do with them? أن يوفى لهم بعهدهم. Whatever they're being promised, to fulfill. Whatever the Khalifa promised those people, Ahl al-Dhimma, and those non-Muslims who live amongst the Muslims, he should fulfill. Don't say they're Christians, don't say they're Jews, don't say they're non-Muslims, so we don't have to fulfill what we promised. La. وَأَنْ يُقَاتَلَ مِنْ وَرَائِهِمْ, and they should be protected. Those non-Muslims who live in the land of Islam are not required to fight with the Muslim armies. They're not required. And that's why they pay jizya, to be protected. The jizya is a tax that the Muslim or the Islamic government charges the non-Muslims who live under the protection of the Muslim government. Now today, it's becoming a big deal, A place like Egypt. The Coptics coming out, those Islamists going to charge us jizya. You don't want to pay jizya? No problem. Can you pay zakat then? The zakat that the Muslim is required to pay is way more than the jizya. The jizya, they used to say, it's 1 dinar a year. But who paid the jizya? The man, the non-Muslim man who can fight. So he is paying because he's not obligated to fight. if the Muslim country gets attacked, he can't stay home. So he pays to be fought for on his behalf. So the old man, the sick man, the crippled man, the woman, the children of the non-Muslims don't pay jizya. But in Islam, the sick man and the crippled man and the old man and the orphans and anyone who has money that reaches Islam and been for a year has to pay zakat. The orphans who fathers die and inherit money, they have to pay zakat every year. If the money fulfills the conditions of Islam. So in the you're upset, you don't want to pay jizya, then pay zakat. Let's see if he still doesn't want to pay jizya after that. Because they make it sound like, it's oppression. We live in this country, we pay 30% and 35% taxes. Here. Why we're paying jizya? It's only the names. So we never, you're being, this issue get addressed, the Muslims force the Christians to pay. The Christians, those Coptics in Egypt were abused by their brothers, other Christians, when they were in charge of the Catholics, when they're in charge of Egypt. No, they were abusing them. They were stealing and robbing their money. But when the Muslim doesn't know the history of his deen, the Muslim doesn't know the fiqh of his deen, how are you going to defend? These Christians and Jews are kuffar. They're people of the book. That's fine. Allah addressed them as the people of the book. That is just as a way of respect, because their religion originally from Allah Azza wa Jalla. That doesn't mean they're not kuffar. قد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله هو المسيح ابن مريم قد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله ثالث ثلاثة ما من يهودي ولا نصراني يسمع بي ولا يؤمن بي إلا دخل النار أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. They're kuffar, but because originally their religion from the pure source, we give them special treatment. We give them special treatment. Their books saying that they should give the Muslims special treatment, actually, they do give us special treatment. But not the way we give them special treatment. They give us special treatment by declaring us as their enemies. That's what they chose. And that's what they will need to deal with. You see, they look around in the world and they complain how Muslims hate them. Or when you come to a Muslim and tell them, do you hate Japanese? Do you got problems? Do you want to have a beef with Japanese people? Japanese. Who cares about you? Until you created the animosity between you and the Muslim world. When you declared your crusades, when the church, in the church in the Vatican declared wars and crusades in the Muslim world from the first day. So it's your responsibility if you want to repair the damage. Muslims don't go and want to kill people. Muslims don't declare war on people. Muslims want justice. But Muslims don't stay quiet as well. Not going to fool Muslims by giving them dish, giving them money and women and pleasures. You can't do that with the Buddhists and the Hindus. They will stay quiet. And that's exactly what's happening. Where are the Chinese from? What's happening in the world? Those people of no religion. Where are the Hindus? People of no religion or people of false religions. You can suppress them and you can control them by fulfilling their desires, by immersing them in the desire. That's exactly what happens to the Muslims who are away from Allah. But because we have the truth, still a group of Muslims will hold and continue to hold to this truth they will never accept and they will never be convinced. They're always going to speak up and they're always going to join good and forbid evil as it's a fundamental part of their religion. So Umar here died, and he makes sure to remind the person who's going to take over the affairs of the Ummah after him to take care of those non-Muslims who live in the Muslim lands. You show me your laws, your constitutions, and your bylaws and whatever you have. You show me where it says to take care of Muslims or non-Muslims who live in the Muslim. وَلَا يُكَلَّفُ إِلَّا طَاقَتَهُ. And they should not be asked for things beyond their ability. And you don't say, those are non-Muslims, so let's abuse. No. He's closing the opportunity in front of anyone. فَلَمَّا قُبِضَ خَرَجْنَا بِهِ. When he said that, رضي الله عنه, from السلام, he died. A little bit later, أخذ الروح إلى بارئها أسلم, and he died رضي الله عنه. His death, by his death, the fitan in this ummah started pouring, has not stopped yet. From the time Umar died, the ummah been from fitna into another until today, and it will continue. The Prophet ﷺ told Hudayfa, he said, he told Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman, between this ummah and the fitan door, and this door is locked. So Umar asked Hudayfa one day, he said, tell me about the fitan. So Hudayfa tells Umar, the wife is fitna, children fitna. Well, Umar tells him, no. This is not what I'm asking about. I'm asking about the fitna that has no mercy. تعصف بالأمة. فقال له, so Hudayfa tells him, between you and that fitna, door. قف. Lock. And you don't need to ask. There is a door between you and those fitan. And Umar is the lock. Umar is the lock. As long as Umar is there, the door is locked. So Umar asked Hudayfa, أَيُفْتَحْ أَمْ يُكْسَرْ? This lock gonna be opened or gonna be broken? So Hudayfa tells him, يُكْسَرُ يَا أَمِيرَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. It will be broken. At that moment, Umar radiallahu anhu knew he will be killed, because Umar was that one. So from the time Umar was killed radiallahu anhu, this ummah been in the waves and the storms of fitan, كَقِطَعِ اللَّيْلِ. So when you come across and Umar died, remember that. You look at the time of Umar, you look at the khilaf of Umar for 12 years. Nothing. As I said before, look in the books and find if anyone complained about Umar. Find if there was a calamity or in the sense fitna in the time of Umar. فلما قبض خرجنا به فانطلقنا نمشي فسلم عبد الله بن عمر قال يستأذن عمر بن الخطاب. So after he died, رضي الله عنه, he was prepared to be buried. They took him to the house of Aisha, رضي الله عنه. You remember what he told her? what he told his son. He told his son after his son came back, and he said, Aisha is giving you the permission to be buried next to your two friends, Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr. He told his son, after I die, ask her again. Ask her again. Just in case she wasn't embarrassed when she told you, okay, when I was alive. So Ibn Umar comes to the door of Aisha radiallahu anha, and he says, Umar asked the permission to come. Now his body. قالت أدخله. So she said, bring him. فأدخل فوضع هنالك مع صاحبيه. They brought him in. They buried him with his two friends. فلما فرغ من دفنه اجتمع هؤلاء الرهط. After they buried him and they were done. Now the Ummah has no leader. And this is not something you wait for. The Ummah must always have a leader all the time. Even if he's fajr. The Ummah with a wicked leader is better than an Ummah without leader. Because the Ummah without leader, most probably it's going to have many more wicked people than an Ummah with one wicked leader. So those people get together right away, the way it happened when the Prophet ﷺ. So those 6 people, Uthman, Ali, Sa'd, Talha, Zubayr and Abd al-Rahman bin Auf get together with Abdullah ibn Umar. اجتمع هؤلاء الرهط فقال عبد الرحمن اجعلوا أمركم إلى 3 منكم. Right away. Right away. Now we're not going to have debates and then vice president debates and then I kiss you and I hug you and I smile at you in the debate and the next day I say you were lying and cheat sheets and all that nonsense. They all know. So they got together. Abd al-Rahman bin Auf said, اجعلوا, how many? 6. He said, اجعلوا أمركم إلى 3. He said, recommended, let's boil it down to 3 instead of 6. Let's boil it down to 3. Now how you boil down from 6 to 3? 3 got to say, we're out. فقال الزبير قد جعلت أمري إلى علي. الزبير said, I nominate Ali. Okay, يعني I'll step back, I'm out, and I nominate Ali. وقال طلحة قد جعلت أمري إلى عثمان. طلحة بن عبيد الله رضي الله عنه said, and I nominate عثمان. وقال سعد قد جعلت أمري إلى عبد الرحمن بن عوف. سعد بن أبي وقاص said, and I nominate عبد الرحمن ibn Auf. So now we have 3. 3 أهون من 6. Now it's easier, it's getting easier. فقال now someone will say, هو عبد الرحمن بن عوف said let's break it down to 3 or boil it down to 3 and he stayed. Because most probably he did not get the chance to nominate someone. Someone who jumped and nominated him. Because those people didn't want the dunya. They didn't care about the dunya. They didn't care about leadership. They didn't care about any of it. فقال عبد الرحمن أيكما تبرأ من هذا الأمر فنجعله إليه والله عليه والإسلام لينظرن أفضلهم في نفسه. He said, Abd al-Rahman bin Auf immediately, now 3 left, Ali, Uthman, and Abd al-Rahman bin Auf. So Abd al-Rahman bin Auf immediately looked at the 2, Ali and Uthman. He said, which one of you would give it up? So we can get this done quickly for the sake of the Ummah of Islam. والله عليه والإسلام لينظرن أفضله في نفسه. فأسكت الشيخان. He stayed quiet. Telling you, they're not going to come and say, I'm the better one. فقال عبد الرحمن أفتجعلونه إلي والله علي ألا آل عن أفضلكم. He said, Abd al-Rahman, when he saw that they stayed quiet, Uthman and Ali, he said, do you leave it up to me to choose? Because none of you is coming forward to say, I'm better than him, so we can choose him the Khalifa. Which is all this, void all the stories that you hear. Now the books are full of lies about this thing. And they were told that whoever tried to want it for himself, kill him. And whoever is not chosen, kill him. And they claim that Umar said, if you see that out of the 6 you see someone interested and then he doesn't get it, kill him, so he doesn't revolt against the new. How you kill Muslims without trials, without reasons? And why none of them was killed? Al-Ihsaan, this is what it happened. So Abdul Rahman bin Auf radiallahu anhu, he said, do you leave it up to me to choose between you? And Allah is my witness that I will choose whom I believe to be the best. قال نعم. They both approved, they both agreed to make Abdul Rahman bin Auf the one who chooses. فقال فأخذ بيد أحدهما فقال لك قرابة من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم والقدم في الإسلام ما قد علمت فالله عليك لئن أمرتك لتعدلن ولئن أمرت عثمان لتسمعن ولا تطيعن. So Abdul Rahman bin Auf grabs the hand of Ali bin Abi Talib. He said, we know about your relationship and your being relative to the Prophet, his cousin and his son-in-law. We know that you're close to the Prophet, and we know that you were one of the first to become Muslim. That which is you know. It's not time to start praising each other. You already know about that. ما قد علمت فالله عليك. Then he asked him by Allah, if I put you, or if I choose you to be the Khalifa, to be just ruler, and if I choose Uthman to hear and obey. So Abdul Rahman bin Auf tells Ali, if I choose you, I ask you by Allah, and he wants him to promise, if I choose you the Khalifa, then you're going to be fair and just. And if I choose Uthman, you have to listen and obey. So Ali agreed, because they already agreed. They're going to let Abdul Rahman. ثم خلى بالآخر بعثمان فقال له مثل ذلك. Then he went with Uthman, and he told him exactly what he told Ali, because Uthman was related to the Prophet ﷺ, and he was one of the first to enter Islam, and he did a lot for Islam. Then he said, if I choose you as Khalifa, you need to be just, and if I choose Ali, then you need to listen and obey. Then he said, فَلَمَّا أَخَذَ الْمِيثَاقَ, when they both promised him that they're going to follow what the decision he's going to make, قال ارفع يدك يا عثمان. Then he told Uthman, lift your hand. Lift your hand so we can give you the bay'ah. So he chose Uthman. فبايع له علي. And Ali gave him the allegiance. Like Rawafid, who run their mouth and say, no, Ali didn't give the allegiance to any one of those. He didn't give allegiance to Abu Bakr, and he didn't give allegiance to Umar, and he didn't give allegiance to Uthman. Why? Because he was the one who should have been the Khalifa after the Prophet. Really? And he can't just let it go. He won't fight for it. Huh? If he believed that it's revelation from Allah that he should be the Khalifa after the Prophet, he would just let it go. Will he agree to promise to Abdul Rahman to choose one? Maybe. But if it was revelation, why he did not become the Khalifa? If it was a revelation that he should be the Khalifa, يعني Allah Azza wa Jal changed his mind. Al-Iyadu Billah. Yes, that's what they say. They believe, they have aqidah that believes in that. عقيدة اسمها عقيدة البداء. البداء يعني Allah decides something or says something ثم يبدو له شيء آخر. Why would he do that? Why would they believe in this aqidah? So they can fit what happened. The aqidah al-bidah says that Allah will decide or will order or will say something. What's in the Quran? Two different things. في خبر, في إنشاء. Yeah. The khabar is what Allah Azza wa Jal tells you. Information, facts, those don't change. يعني in the Quran when Allah says about Al-Jannah, it has this and it has that. There will be no abrogation that later on Allah will say, oh, hold on, Al-Jannah, I said it has, but we checked out and we ran out of stuff. Na'ifa. When Allah says the believers go to heaven, we will not come on the day of judgment and say, oh, I changed my mind. Na'ifa. These are facts. The abrogation and in nasakh, it happens where? It happens in al-ahkam, in fiqh. Graduation. Don't. They ask about liquor, about alcohol, good and bad. But the bad is more. Then don't pray, don't drink and pray. Then don't drink. Graduation. And with the facts, there's no change. There is hellfire and there is paradise. There is no change. One with 7 doors, one with 8. There is no change. Because it's already being told. If Allah already told and said that Ali will be the Khalifa after the Prophet, and he didn't, so how are we going to get out of this? Aqidat al-Bidah. That Allah said Ali to be the Khalifa, and then it seemed that for some reason Allah changed his mind. He gonna let up, right? Al-Iyadu Billah. تعالى الله عما يصفون هؤلاء أهل الشرك. So Uthman radiallahu anhu was chosen to be the Khalifa. فبايع له علي وولج أهل الدار فبايعوه. So Uthman became the Khalifa. Ali gave him the allegiance, and then everyone in that room or that house gave him the allegiance. So this is very much with very it's very unfair. We talk about Umar radiallahu anhu, and we reach a point where we say we're done. With someone like Umar, you're never done. Your life will be done before you start talking about him. This man who served the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal from the moment he declared Shahada and didn't stop. This man who was tough, and who was strong in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. This man who sacrificed Allah for the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. If you talk about manners and morals and akhlaq, it's Umar. If you talk about al-jihad fi sabilillah, it's Umar. If you talk about justice, it's Umar. If you talk about taqwa and wara and khashya and fear from Allah Azza wa Jalla and soft heart and reading the book of Allah, it's Umar. Simple man, very close to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in very and many aspects. Why not? And he graduated from the school of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If this ummah had only Umar, this ummah has only Umar, then this ummah is entitled to be better than any other nation. An ummah that has people like Umar bin Khattab should lead the world, should be the pioneer of the world, should be in charge of the world. An ummah that has someone like that. And I believe had the Jews or the Christians or any other nation had in their history someone like Umar, they would do much more to show their appreciation of him. Because they do much more for fake heroes, they made up heroes. Because that's what people do, nations do create, make up history, if they don't have history, to pride themselves of. And at the end we say, عجزت النساء وان تلد مثلك يا عمر. Women failed to give birth to someone like her. Failed. So, from this minbar, we make Allah Azza wa Jal our witness that we love Allah. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us with the Zumra of Umar. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to put us with the group that has Umar in it on the day of judgment. And we are and we will be satisfied and happy and pleased wherever he has to be with him. Because we know who he will be with. Because we know. And we were told. So Umar lived his life from the time he became Muslim in his late 20s until the day he dies, serving the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. And then Allah chooses for him the best end, to die shaheed. Shaheed. Because the Prophet ﷺ, when he was on top of mountain Uhud one day, and the mountain shook, and he ﷺ was with Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman, he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he ordered the mountain to get quiet. He said, on top of you, Prophet, Siddiq, wa Shahida. Prophet, Siddiq, and 2 martyrs. So by the testimony of the Prophet ﷺ, Umar is shaheed. Umar is shaheed. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to guide us to the straight path that He is pleased with. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to show us the straight path. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to keep us alive, as good as life is good, and to take us away, as long as death is better for us. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect us from all fitan. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal that we live on Islam and we die on Iman. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal shahada fi sabili. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal shahada fi sabili. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal shahada fi sabili. So very much that's the end of this series. about Umar bin Khattab radiyallahu anhu. And in كان في العمر بقية, if there is opportunity in the future, inshallah, we will start with the Sahaba for now. And there is no way, as some requested, to make it 1 or 2 lectures about each Sahabi. I can't do it. Maybe other people can. I personally can't. I don't know which lecture this about Umar, but I know it's plenty. And still I believe that we haven't given Umar a fraction of what he's entitled for. So we'll start about the Sahaba, or we'll continue with the Sahaba somewhere else, where people don't mind taking 3 or 4 years about one Sahabi. Inshallah, we'll discuss different issues, different topics, maybe on a weekly basis, maybe a series of specific topics that people might need in this community, and take it from there, inshallah. That will be, inshallah, after Hajj, and next week will be the last Friday before we leave for Hajj. So we'll see what we will talk about. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد. جزاكم الله خير. الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم.